1, 2, 3.
Clap.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Animacast, and I'm here with Telepurte.
Hi.
Hi.
How's everyone going? I hope you're all having a wonderful day or night.
Everyone here is doing wonderful. I'm the only one here, but I'm doing wonderful.
Everyone present, including myself and you.
Well, how are you doing? How have you been feeling since when you wrapped up this year?
Feels like I'm super relaxed because before I had like the obligation of doing something every day, and now I'm like actually just doing nothing, and it feels wild. I'm doing nothing now.
I mean, it's it's nice to hear actually, because I wasn't here for I don't know how long I've known you, but I've known you for quite a bit of a chunk of your year of animating. But I don't think most people. Oh, sorry.
I think you knew me before last year, like before I even started the challenge.
I don't know. I think I began to talk to you a lot during your year, but I think I might have talked to you before it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You knew me before
but
I was
a lot
famous.
of people. Dude, when I first invited you to Animacast, I had no clue you were quote unquote famous.
Yeah.
And then people started telling me, and I'm like, oh wait, shit, huh?
They're like, that's Telepurte. You're like, well, huh? What?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of your followers don't really know that you were only doing it for a year and that you're not really continuing at the same extent that you were. So like, how did it start? You know, how did you get the idea and how did you pull through with it?
The idea of doing the whole year?
Yeah.
All right. So it all started in 2018 when I decided for Inktober I would do an animation every day instead of an ink drawing every day. And I decided that I would do it in an ink style, right? So I did that, and I burnt myself out a little bit. But it went well. I managed to do it. And in 2019, I did it again. And this time, well, both times actually, had Hyun backing me. He was like, yo, I can't believe you're doing this. Hyun from Hyun's Dojo, right? And he said, yo, if you get through the whole month, I will give you $100. And then the next year, in 2019, it was $101. And yes, he did give that money exactly, 100 and 101. And then I was like, this is pretty cool, because he compiled it all together with music and he put it up onto the Hyun's Dojo channel on YouTube. And he titled it 31 Days of Teleporte. And then after that, I decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I did 365 days of Teleporte? And I didn't realize it was a leap year at the time, so I guess it's 366 days of Teleporte, because, well, there's an extra day in the leap year. And that's basically how I did it. And it was a lot thanks to Hyun, who backed me in that.
Yeah. How long have you known Hyun?
I've known Hyun probably since 2018, but I did have a few interactions with him like in 2014 or perhaps earlier, because I always looked up to him, and he was actually like the reason that I started to get into animation, because I saw his stick figure animation and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool, I want to do that, I want to make animations. And I tried to make stick figure animations, and I'd like watch his tutorials religiously, and I'd like go to his DeviantArt to look for animations, and I'd pause them and play frame by frame. And that's a lot of how I learned, but there was also like Alan Becker's tutorials. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. What was the original question?
It was how long have you known Hyun?
Oh, yeah, roughly 4 years. or more.
Yeah. Something like that. But I'm sorry, you mentioned that he was going to give you $100 and then ended up being 101.
Hmm.
Why was an extra dollar added?
I don't know. I think it was like kind of the joke. And for the year 2020, he said, "I will give you $1,001," and he did. He pulled through.
Okay. So it was supposed to be $101.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You said $100 and later mentioned $101. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah. So the 2018 was 100, 2019 was 101, and 2020 was 1001.
Yeah. Um. So you also mentioned earlier that even in your first Inktober animation phase that you were pretty burnt out. So
Hmm.
how did you go an entire year, 12 months, like 12 times of Inktober? Um, how did you deal with that burnout?
Okay, so 2020, I had 4 burnouts. The first one was somewhere in July, and then the second one was in September or end of August and like part of September. And then they just got more and more frequent in like November and December. It was like mostly the end of the year that I just really started to get tired. But the way
Yeah.
that you get through a burnout is that you pretend it doesn't exist and that it's not there. Like,
Well, how did you you pretend it doesn't exist? What?
I basically just said, burnout's probably real, but not in my books. And I just started animating. I'd be like, man,
But I mean, so
today
you
I'm
just
really tired. I don't really want to animate, but I should. So I did.
yeah. I mean, I've been there for quite a few of those days where you wait till pretty much the last minute
Hmm.
and you just essentially force yourself to animate.
Yeah. And another thing was that I wouldn't let myself sleep until I had finished the animation. So there are some days that I would like stay awake until 4 or 5. And
Oh,
I realized that's probably not very healthy. So I'm going to start actually being diligent on the time that I start instead of starting at 10 in in the evening and just actually like doing it properly like a normal human being would.
so you started like setting up a schedule for yourself.
Yeah. I started to be more organized and
Nice.
try to get things done at a good time.
I guess that helped with burnout too. I'm guessing, right?
Oh, yeah. And eating well,
Having a
doing
schedule.
exercises,
Yeah.
loving your family, like giving your mother hugs and like just being responsible with other things, because if you feel like a part of your life is falling apart, like you're burnt out in work, then a good way to help deal with that is to have everything else in order. So, like, if you have a nice fixed bed and you'd be like, man, today's work was really, really exhausting, and you get back and you go into bed and it's all nice and like well organized, then it's a lot easier to deal with the burnout because you're not having to deal with a bunch of other stuff.
All right. Could you give me like an in-depth description of a day in Telepurte?
All right, wake up at 12.
AM or PM?
uh, 12 in the afternoon, right? So you wake up pretty
Okay.
late. I woke up pretty late on a regular basis because, well, quarantine has everyone just sleeping in. And you feel bad for the people that can't sleep in, but yeah. I slept in a lot, and then I would like probably play some video games in the afternoon, or like I'd have lunch first, take a shower, and then I would sit in front of the computer. And sometimes I would animate, and other times, most of the time, I would just play video games until like maybe 3 or 4, and then I'd start animating. And then at 6, I would eat dinner, and then I would get back to the computer. I would animate some more, take a break, maybe like for an hour, and then continue animating. And that's basically the day-to-day experience that I went through. Sometimes it would be broken up by like having to go shopping for groceries or having to cook dinner and just doing other stuff like exercise or just going out for a walk to enjoy the sunshine, to breathe some air. You know, that was a normal day for me.
All right. So during this year, I'm sure you learned a lot, but what was the most crucial thing that you've learned? What was the most important thing that you've learned?
How to finish. So,
How to finish.
yeah, like if you make an animation, you start an animation, it's so easy to just leave it half finished and to leave it, like just there and never touch it again. Or to say, I'm going to get back to this later, but
Right.
never getting back to it. This year, it's having to make so many animations and having to finish them every day, or at least bringing them to a level of being presentable. You learn how to put that idea of finishing into motion.
So, like, was there? You do the goofy animations, but you also do some symbolic animations from time to time. Was there any of those animations that you wish you could go back and put more time into?
There are some animations where I would want to put color or clean up the lines to, or fix my laziness. But I think it's mostly like fixing the laziness, because a lot of the times I would select stuff and then transform tool move it instead of actually animating like an animator. So the result was looking like cardboard cutouts that were moved to look like they moved, but they weren't actually moving. And I would really want to go back and not do that, fix that up, and just
Right, just give them more life.
yeah. Because it sucks. Like, it really sucks to see an animation that isn't animated. It's just moved. And I don't like that. And I did that a lot at the beginning
I
of
could
the
definitely.
year.
Yeah, I could see that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, other than that, is there anything else that you would have done differently, or is that kind of your main pet peeve with your old stuff?
Would have tried to be a little bit more organized. Like, start the first thing in the morning. Like, in the actual morning, not waking up in the afternoon. That would have been
Yeah.
something I would have changed. Maybe if I do
Yeah,
another year challenge, I'll do things more structured and better.
Do you think you'll ever do another one, or is that just very up in the air?
I think I probably will do another one, but in the future. Because January, right now, I'm in January, right? And I'm just taking a break. I said, I'm not going to animate in January. I'm going to paint and I'm going to sketch. Now I'm doing
How's that been going?
It's been going good, but now that I'm doing it, I'm feeling like this sort of emptiness. Like, man, I want to animate, but no, I said I wasn't gonna. And now,
like instead of forcing yourself to animate, you're trying to restrain yourself.
yeah, like I didn't really want to animate. It's just silly. So I'm probably gonna spend another year just like doing daily animations. Probably 2022 maybe, but it will be a different kind of animation. If you catch my drift.
Oh, I see. I think I get it.
Mm-hmm.
See, that was it. Do I need to explain it to people, or you think they'll get it?
We'll touch up on it probably in the same video. Lots of people asked
Okay.
about it. I can answer that question.
Oh yeah, we will.
Lots of people.
We will. We'll get onto the Twitter questions a little later in the video. So, I get there's no real easy way to segue into this, but you had your little moment of experiencing cancel culture this year when
yeah.
you made an animation about a trap joke, if I may.
Yeah.
And I want to know, like, what did you think of the animation before you released it versus after?
Okay, so before I released it, I was really proud of the walk animation that was at the beginning because it was like one of those double bounce walking animations. It was like bup, ba-dup, 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 ba-dup.
Oh my god, it looked so fun.
Yeah, it was a really good walk. And then I managed to get like a meme in there, like when he has a realization. I did a reference to the meme of like the realization meme that someone did. I don't remember who did that meme. But yeah, I did that meme and then looking down, like it was so well animated in my books. And I thought it was really good. I was proud of it. And then
I mean, honestly, sorry to cut you off, but personally, that's one of my favorite animations that you've done. Like, it looks really fluid. I just, I wish people didn't bash on you so much for it.
yeah, from a technical standpoint, it was a good animation. Now, the context of it, though, that it was Astolfo, who is a male character who identifies as male but still likes to dress in a feminine manner, was referenced as a trap, right? And a lot of people would say,
Hmm.
yeah, he's a trap. But a lot of people got offended and they said that it was transphobic. And a lot of people jumped up in the defense that, hey, it's not transphobic because he's not trans. And I can see both sides, and I don't really take either side. And I guess I sort of got caught in the middle of it, and people had their opinions of me lowered because of it. But yeah, I guess people thought that the word trap is a slur, and that the usage of the word itself is a bad thing because it reminds people of a negative connotation that happens to revolve around traps, if you will. But thinking over it today and now, and I'll probably think about it more in the future, um, I don't think it's actually as bad as people make it out to be. And I'm probably just going to move on from it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the animation that you made the day after, um, I'm sure that was directly related to
Oh, yeah.
the controversy itself. And like, do you want to explain the symbolism, or do you want
Yeah.
people to just take their own?
I can explain it. I can explain the symbolism behind it.
Okay.
So essentially, the animation starts with the guy making a sandcastle, and he's wearing a star cap and a leather jacket because he thinks he's cool, and to a certain degree, he is. And then he's proud of the sandcastle that he made. So that's me being proud of the animation that I made. And then him getting hit in the head with like ink and hard black rocks was symbolic of the backlash that the animation got. And they just started to revolve around his head because, well, of course, me thinking about all the negative comments is going to start overthinking. And then the ground started to create a bunch of little spheres of like of soft white matter, right? And it started to go around. This was symbolic of the people that were standing up for me and for the people that were giving uplifting comments to me and just like trying to console me after the fact. And for me, it was very confusing and dizzying to see like all the positivity and the negativity, the controversy that was surrounding a sandcastle. And I just said, I'm not going to listen to any of it. I'm not going to listen to the positive stuff. I'm not going to listen to the negative stuff. Everything is gone. I removed the jacket. I removed the hat because I decided that, hey, if I'm going to get canceled, you can remove everything from me. You can take everything from me, but I'm still going to go ahead and make animations. And that was the symbolic meaning behind that animation. And I did. I moved on. And I kept making animations and I kept going forwards. And it wasn't until later on, like on the 5th of November, there was another animation where I basically had a breakdown that day because, well, there were some repercussions that I hadn't foreseen. I asked a voice actor if they could do some voice acting for me, and they said that they wouldn't because of that animation that I made. So it was a roller coaster of emotions, but these things are there to make you stronger, and they're there to make you learn and to think and to make you consider yourself and to evaluate yourself. So all in all, it was a good experience.
So do you regret making the animation?
No.
After all that?
I don't regret it. I'm not going to apologize for it. It's part of my past.
Okay.
You might think about it and have a negative opinion on me about it, but I've made my peace, and now you, the viewer, must make yours.
I think that's respectable. I really like that. Damn. I mean, sorry. I wasn't expecting that. For some reason, I didn't expect that to go so deep. Even though I've heard you talk about it plenty before, and I've heard some of these answers before, and it's still just like trying to put myself in that scenario is pretty difficult. Where you create something and then suddenly people have very strong feelings about it, and you're just sitting there like, well, I just wanted to create.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Part of the thing about controversy is that it's always something that's deeply rooted in another thing, and you have to evaluate and think about it really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, It's been 30 minutes. Do you wanna move on to another question?
I want to go on to one more subject, and then we'll move on to the Twitter questions.
All right, hit me with it.
So recently, a lot of people have been re-uploading your content to YouTube, yeah, we're going into this one. I know I've heard you talk a lot about this one too.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this was another thing that has been getting like on my nerves and on my mind, and I had to think about it and make peace with it as well. But yeah, a lot of people have been taking my animations without my permission, putting them on TikTok, on iFunny, on YouTube, and people have been reaping the benefits of that, like getting lots of views, getting lots of followers and stuff for content that they didn't make. And lots of people have been thinking, hey, you should put your stuff on YouTube. You should put your stuff there so that they don't do it. And I'm just like thinking, man, all I want to do is animate and put it up on Twitter and then forget about it and then just move on to the next thing. But now that the year is over, I have some more time to think about whether I want to put it up in different places or if I just want to leave it there and not worry about people reposting my stuff. But yeah, I don't really have too much of a problem with it anymore. Like if people want to take my stuff and repost it, and they give credit, for all that's worth, more people get to see my stuff, and more people get to be brought towards me because of it. So it could be a good thing. I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing.
Yeah. Like free exposure to an extent.
Yeah, almost free marketing kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's just when I start to think about if they're making money, and if so, how much are they making? I think that's what gets to me. But then again, I don't have a year's worth of animations that people are suddenly uploading everywhere and getting millions of views with. So like, has the monetary value of it affected your thoughts on it or your opinion at all?
Well, I try not to think about the money because it's not my primary focus. Like, I am on this planet to create stuff, not to make money. If I wanted to make money, I would have gone into business school or something like that. But I didn't, and I'm not on this planet to make money.
All right. Do you want to move on to some Twitter questions now?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
All right. All right. So African Mega Man has asked, how did you manage to properly improve your art and animations without getting fatigued or burnt out? And how did you balance both of them too?
How to improve, or how did I improve my art and animations, right?
Yeah, how did you?
Okay, so in 2016, January the 21st, I made a commitment to draw every day as much as I could. And sometimes that wasn't much, sometimes it was a little bit, but I've been building that habit of drawing every day. And if you just draw a little bit or a lot every day, then you're gonna make a lot of progress towards just improvement. And I think that stands true for anything that you want to get good at. If you apply yourself to something a little bit every day, you're gonna get better at it. Whether that's
Just
cutting
consistency is key.
logs or talking with people or drawing or running or swimming, anything. Just do a little bit of it every day. And you'll get far.
Jang J asks, how did you develop your art style? Do you have any idols that helped shape your drawing style?
Yes. And also, no. So, yes, because I had some artists who affected my art style, like Xavier Hussein, the lead artist and concept designer for Wakfu and Dofus. And he's exceptionally good at what he does. And he has a style that I really, really like too. There have been a few other artists who have helped my formation, like Saikra and his tutorials on YouTube. They have helped form like the mentality that is required to practice a lot. And then there's the people, the multitude of people in my inspirations folder. So I have an inspirations folder. I save art that makes me say, I wish I could do that, into that inspirations folder. And it's from so many different people and sources that I cannot tell you who is my inspiration for my style. Because I have taken from so many different people that it's basically become its own thing at that point. And I guess that's what they mean by say, a good artist steals from one, but a great artist steals from many, or something like that. So yeah, that's basically the answer to that one. And the rest of it is just try not to think too much about style and just let it be its own thing and let it grow in its own way, and you'll end up with a nice style.
Yeah. That was kind of me for a bit. I was trying really hard for a while to find my own style and eventually just gave up. And once I gave up, I was like, oh, hey, it looks unique now.
Yeah, exactly. Because the style that comes out naturally from your hands is the style that is you. It's what is natural to you. And that's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah. All right. Next is by Nathaniel. How do you animate so fast?
Minimize mistakes. Try to not press Control Z. Find ways to optimize, like shortcuts, brush shortcuts, color shortcuts. Make lots of shortcuts and use them. Avoid mistakes, avoid perfectionism, avoid thinking about it too hard, and just try to get a constant output of lines. If you can get one line out every second, that's 60 lines per second. That's a drawing. That's 10 drawings per 10 minutes. That's a lot of drawings per hour. It's basically, it snowballs from there. You can make an animation in an hour if you just keep a constant flow of lines coming out. Doesn't have to be good. Doesn't have to be perfect. You'll make an animation if you just keep lines going on.
All right. Next question was one that you were excited to answer. Soapy Bubbles asks, if you had the opportunity to direct an animated TV series / movie, what would it be about?
It would be, okay, this is exciting. It would be about like a series of slice of life, right? It would follow the story of a like a university house, so like a flat house where people are all paying the same bill and just living together, and they're like from all over the world. Except it's not people, it's angels and demons living in a city that has been made as like the middle ground between heaven, earth, and hell. And it would be like a normal city that is strange in its own little way. But I want to keep the strangeness and like the complexity in subtle details in the background that you can notice if you look at the show a second time or the movie a second time. But if you just take it at its face value or the first glance, it's just a slice of life that follows the life of Zoe, Chloe, Neela, and Amina. And perhaps more characters that would be there in the future. And it would be fun. It would be just like watching a slice of life.
Do you think this is gonna be something that you're gonna take on in the future, like a show or a film?
Probably, yeah. I'm probably going to do a short
Alright,
film first by myself to get people to believe in the product. And once they do, or if they do, not once they do, because I'm not sure if people are going to like it or not. But if they do, then it's going to be a lot easier to get the backing of other animators and the money that you need to get that kind of project going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just want to do something by myself first and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited for it anyway.
Yeah.
And, all right, next one by Connie the Corvid. What's the hardest thing to draw for you, let alone animate? I'm going to go ahead and guess dynamic fluid.
Fluids are pretty hard, yeah, because you got to think about refraction. But once you like get the idea of water having darker edges and clear middle parts, or fluids like that, like say goo or I don't know, fire is another dynamic fluid. It can get pretty hard, but for me personally, the hardest thing to animate is highly detailed things, because the more detail there is, the more likelihood there is of inconsistencies. Like if there are a lot of scales, for example, on an ornate chandelier and it's just changing angle, that's really hard. Really, really quite hard. Oh yeah, that would be the hardest thing that I can think of to animate. That I could conceivably animate.
All right, Magnus Artifacts asks, how did you feel the first day after you finished and didn't have to draw? Did you animate at all, or you force yourself not to?
I felt empty. Like, you know when you finish a really good show? Like you watch, say, The Mandalorian, and you watch the last episode, and you're like, what a hell of a ride. That was awesome. Now what? And that's what I felt. I didn't have to force myself to not animate, because at the same time it was like I did it. I don't have to animate anymore. So it felt good, but bittersweet good.
Bittersweet. Like you wish you could do. Whoa. Sorry. Okay. Do you wish you could have continued the year?
Yeah.
Or are you fine with just finishing up the year at 366 days?
Yeah. I'm fine with finishing up the year. But part of me just wishes that I could run the year again, just like I would rewatch The Mandalorian. This is not a sponsored
Well, you still
episode, by
got.
the way. I just really like The
It's
Mandalorian.
not. I haven't even seen The Mandalorian.
Dude, it's so good.
I've heard, but I'm not a TV guy.
That's okay. That's all good.
All right. BTT MTLNA. Sorry if I said your name wrong, but they ask if you are a god.
Am I a god? No. I'm human. I have emotions. I cry sometimes.
All right, cool. Next question. All right. JC Adams asks, how did you overcome procrastination?
How do you overcome procrastination? I have to look back a couple years because I figured this one out a while ago. You close your eyes and then you make a line on the canvas. And then you open your eyes and you keep making lines because the most important thing is to take that first step when you're procrastinating. The thing that procrastination is that you don't take the first step and then you distract your mind with something else. Don't do that. Take the first step and don't get distracted with other things. That's basically the bottom line. It sounds simple, but it's really not as simple or easy as it sounds, I mean. But it is possible.
Easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Saki here asks, where did you learn to animate? To draw anatomy is one thing, but to animate while breaking down the part in one day is insane.
I learned to animate from stick figures. I did stick figures, and then I figured I wanted to do more complex things than stick figures, but I couldn't draw, so I started to draw instead. And then once you know how to move things, it's really easy to move the knowledge that you have from drawing. So if you know how to move a stick figure, and you know the anatomy of an arm, it's quite easy to move an arm, right? So it's the combination of two different skills that work together to make something great.
All right. Multi-Jugus 1315 says, how do you feel after doing daily animations for a year? Did you feel accomplished? Hollow? How about your improvement over the year?
I felt
We've already kind of covered some of this.
Yeah, but I can go into a little bit more depth. I feel the same way that I feel about being popular and successful. It just feels like unreal. So I'm just going to be a normal person and probably just leave it as it is and not think about it too much. And yeah, just be myself. That's how I feel about it. It's like almost, it's something that you don't ignore or like say it didn't happen, but it is something that you just say, it's there in the background. It's like not a big deal.
Akaruin, sorry if I butchered your name. How long have you been animating?
I have been animating since 2010, but I did take a 4-year hiatus, roughly speaking, between 2012 and 2016.
So technically, if you count those 4 years of absence, I've been animating longer than you.
Yeah.
Take that.
Let's go.
Let's go. I'm nowhere near as good as you, but hey, something.
Give yourself some credit. You make some good stuff too.
No, I deny compliments. Anyways, this interview isn't about me. It's about you. All right.
Take this compliment.
KSEG 3501. No, I don't take compliments. Anyway, KSEG 3501 asks, are you going to do more with the characters that have shown up in your animations before? They all seem to revolve around demons and angels, and I'm curious to see where that will go.
Yes, I will in the future. Coming soon. TM.
Damn. Kind of already discussed it.
Yeah.
All right. Star Wars Boy 885 asks, how's your general mental health after your wonderful year of animating for a whole day? Mental health is important, and I hope you took care of yourself the best you could this past year.
Mm-hmm. Mental health is important, yeah. It's been good. Better. I've felt better. I haven't been under the grind of work, so it's good to just relax and do nothing and play video games and hang out with friends. It's a big sigh of relief.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Undermined Blocks asks, besides 2D animation or art, do you have another talent?
I do. I play piano. I write music.
I knew it.
I'm good at music. Kind of. Better than average.
Do you ever intend on putting that out there? Like to the public?
I have put it out there, but not a lot of people seem to know about it. I have put my 8-bit music into a video on my YouTube channel called Bits and Bytes, and it's a 1 hour long album with all the 8-bit music that I've done in the past, excluding the newer ones, of course. But yeah, I have composed music, but as for piano playing, I generally don't see it as something that I can show off very easily, because I basically play pieces of music that already exist, right? And that other people have played better. So no point really showing off like the study number 5 of Chopin or something like that. Because it's just classical music. I don't think a lot of people are super interested in hearing that. But yeah, I do like to play piano.
All right. Is there anything else?
Anything else like other talents?
Yeah, like anything that you haven't ever talked about that you've kind of wanted to.
I'm rather flexible in my hands specifically.
Oh yeah, you showed me a few days ago.
Yeah.
It made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay, so for those who don't know and want to know why Hatena is reacting that way, I can take my thumb and I can bend it downwards completely, as if it was like a thumb growing at the bottom of my hand. And it looks really freaky.
It does.
Anyway, I don't think I have
Really
any
does.
other like big talents other than like those two things. Because a lot of what I am as a person is a person that tends to hyper focus on a single thing, right? I like to put 100% into one thing. If it's animation, art, music, just 100% into it. One thing at a time, though. I cannot focus. I cannot multitask on multiple things, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
Next
Crav
question.
Cave asks, what's the best way to grow your audience and views for original work rather than parody?
Do a good job of it and do it often. I think that's a pretty sure way of doing it. Like, if you want to ask a similar question, except it's like for a restaurant or food, make good food and make it often. And the same thing applies for animations and original ideas and original content. Make good stuff and make it often.
All right. IDK Real YW asks, why the name Telepurte?
Because in 2011 or 12, there was a community called Stickpage or Fluid Anims. I don't remember which one of the two it was. But it had like Rock Hard Gladiators, which was a concept where you make an original character and you take that character and you make them fight against someone else's original character in an animation. And then you put the animation up to a poll for the public to vote. And then whichever animation got the most votes was the person that won the fight or the animation battle. And there was a character that I wanted to use who had the ability of teleportation. And he would like have a ball that he would throw places, and then he would teletransport to that ball. And his name was going to be Teleporte. And then I made it my username like a silly young child. And then I realized, wow, now I can't show off this character because people are going to think it's a self-insert. When in reality, the character came before me. And so now that character's name is Porter, and I'm not sure, like, when I'm going to do anything with him, but he does exist, and he does have a backstory, and he has a story fleshed out, ready to be animated, and ready to be shown to the world. It just needs to be done.
All right. And I think we'll end on this on the most common question that we got on the Twitter. Yeah, many people asked either this question or something related. Do you intend on making a lewd/not safe for work art?
Yes, one day, probably 2022, and not under this name, under a secret and hidden name. I'm gonna say probably like, yeah, I'm gonna go and take a 2-year break, a 2-year hiatus as Teleporte, and Teleporte is gonna disappear. They're not gonna make anything. They're gonna just disappear. And somewhere on the internet there's gonna be another creator that's making fun stuff, fun and saucy stuff that they wanted to be making for a long time. But yeah, I hope that answers that question, and I hope I don't get it again.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. Shut up. All right. Yeah, I don't really have anything else planned for this. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention before we get into the ending?
Nothing comes to mind about anything that I would want to say.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to the Twitter followers that you've gained this last year? Anything that you'd just like to mention?
I would like to tell everyone that I love all of you and that you're all wonderful, and I hope you'll have a lovely day. It's thanks to every one of you collectively making this possible. Me being able to make animations, to be able to make paintings, and to just exist as an artist in this world is all thanks to you, the viewers. So I'd like to give a very special thanks to you all.
All right. That's a very wholesome way to end it. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning into the podcast. I'm sure Telly might join future episodes, maybe? ?
Oh yeah, love to. I would love to join in the future.
All right. So that means you should subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Hit the
notification bell. No, but thank you all for listening. Thank you, Telly, of course, for coming along. I know you and I have known each other for a little bit now, and you're one of the more interesting people to talk to. You're really fun to be around, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and do this interview.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. It was really nice to answer these questions. Thank you for all the fantastic questions.
Yeah, and of course, out to the Twitter users who submitted their questions. We didn't get to all of them, but thank you to everyone who did submit a question. And that's about it. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Goodbye. Bye.